Masechta Bava basra. 3 lines in the top of Ayin Amud Aleph. We'll start from Bayiminei. Sagt die Gemara, Bayiminei Rav Acha Bar Huna mit Rav Sheishes. Rav Acha Bar Huna is from Rav Sheishes, somebody who sells a field in which there are the carob tree which it was grafted, or a sycamore tree that was pruned. So then the halacha is, even b'chlal, when he sells a field, they're not included. They're chashuv b'fnei atzman. They're since they're chashuv b'fnei atzman, they're not included in the sale of the field. So what's if he said chutz mechor pleni, except for that carob tree, the grafted carob tree, or he said chutz misaden, or he said except for the sycamore tree that gave off, the sycamore tree that was pruned. Chutz misaden pleni mal. What's the din? The shaila here is, if you look, we'll just finish off the words. Mal. Should we say it's only that charav? He's not going to be kinda that carob because he specified in his tanai, I'm selling you the field except for the pruned sycamore tree or for the grafted carob tree, even though without him saying it's not included in the sale. But maybe since he said this carob tree or this sycamore tree, maybe the other, and he had other carob trees, so maybe the other carob trees he is kind of. That's how the Rashbam learns the pshat. Or perhaps we'll say that even the other carob trees he's not kind of. What did he mean by saying dafka this carob tree is not included? So the Rashbam explains that it's coming to be meyapa de koyach. What does it mean? It's letevus alekech. They explain that he wanted to leave for himself a path for the other trees that for the other carob trees, to get to the other carob trees, he left for himself a path, including a path. You understand? When he says only this carob tree, he's not going to. He's saying I'm sorry. He says this carob tree, I'm leaving for myself. Why did he have to say that? He's not koine it anyway, right? It's extra, this lashon, because if he says I'm selling you the field, he automatically is not including the carob tree, or older carob tree that is grafted, or a sycamore tree that was already pruned. They have a shem of neyatzma. They're chashem on its own, so we know it's not even included. So why did he say these words? So the Rashbam says these extra words were to be meyapa his koyach, that when he said he's leaving over this carob tree for himself, he wanted to add that he has a path he gets, including a path, when he sold the field, that he gets the path, according to Rabbi Akiva, who says he's not kind of the path, he will be kind of this path.
And all the other trees, he's also keeping.
Yeah, but for this tree, he got a path by adding these words. Like it says over here. Where the Rashbam says he's adding these words, these extra words. That's something that he would normally not get. Here we're telling you, because he added these words, he's going to get like a pathway of the field that he sold, that he's going to get a pathway to go to that carob tree.
But all of them also, you're saying?
No, all of them not. Only for this carob tree, because he specified this carob tree you're not getting. So he's not getting any of them. Yeah, so he says, so the halacha was, why did he say extra words? Right?
This one?
Because for this one he wanted to have inclusive the path going to it. Okay? So after Yimada Esrei, in fact, Yimada Akasha, Amalei, so Rav Sheshes answered to Ravacha, Loi Kana. He was not, the Lekech was not Kana, the other Charum Shabasada. Esrei, in fact, Yimada Akasha, Chutz Mechorev Pleni, he says, except for that carob tree, or he said, Chutz Mesaden Pleni, or except for that sycamore prune tree, Loi Kana, he's not Kana, my love. The Chayv the Kavanah devices to say, no, he's saying the Shar Charuvim. Oh, when he said Chutz Mecharav Pleni, yeah, when he says except for that carob tree, that's the kasha. Wait, we have a Mishnah that states clearly if he said except for that carob tree, or he said except for that sycamore tree that was pruned, the lekeich was not koina. My law, only that one. But the rest of the carob trees, kana is koina. It's since over here he states it's a mishnah. Before we asked the shaila, we didn't have a mishnah that you can make a diuk from. But now, we had a shaila, but now we're saying it as a brisa, and since since we have a brisa, we're able to be medayik from the brisa. So since we have a brisa and you can make a diuk from the brisa, so the diuk would prove that the other carob trees he is koina. He did sell it. Amalei says loy. It's nishkaraya. Even the other bucks, carob trees, he was not koina. Teida, I'll bring you a raya that he was not koina it. The ilu sadim mechurulach because the ilu amalei, because if the meicha said to the kayach sadim mechurulach mechutz misada plain is that he says, let's say he told him, my field, this field, I'm selling to you.
Sadai means my field.
Sadai, my field.
Fields.
One field, Sadai, B'lashin Yachid. My field I'm selling to you, Chutz Misada Plainis. Except for the other field next to it, I'm not selling. Amalei, Chutz Misada Plainis, Hasmuchalot, that's next to it. So you're saying, Ahi hu delay kani achrani yasser kani. Let's say the guy had 10 fields. So he says, I'm selling you my field, right? I'm selling you dafka my field, but not the field next to it. Does it mean the other 9 fields he sold? No. So Al Derech said is here that when he said, I'm selling you my field except for the carob tree, doesn't mean the other carob trees he's kinda. It's other fields. Let's push it like
because the carob tree isn't in the same field. In other words, he has 10 carob trees in one field.
No, we say a carob tree is considered as a field on its own. We said that before.
When he says 10
It's a double
fields,
chashuv.
when he says 10 fields, because the field is separate. If he says, I'm selling you this field, so, I'm not selling
The other,
this field.
except for the field that's next to my field,
So maybe the other 10.
the other 9 is maybe sold. So he says, no, that's for sure not, because he told him Melosh Yachid.
Okay.
And the way the Rashbam expresses it by the field, the yitur is stam ashtus that he said it. Stam ashtus. Sometimes people add
What year did he say?
he said, except for the field that's next to my field is not being sold. Didn't have to say that, of course not. He sold it B'Lashon Yachid in one field. So he says he calls it a Lashon Shtus.
Who, the Rashbam?
The Rashbam. That will be where you can explain why that the yitur is being meyapis koyach, like by the carob tree. He said, except for this carob tree. And you could say the yipur koyach is that he sold them together with a path. We'll say that. That's what he meant. But over here, except for the field next to it,
so
he
he
says,
more than one field. So
yeah.
When he says, my
So he
field is
says,
sold to you.
l'chol hayoy, so the most you could say over here, nama shediba dive shtus meyutarim, that he spoke dvarim shtusim, extra words which are shtusim. But ach b'makim she'efsha alein lefaresh, he says, but dvara ba'ifin shekavanas liyapes koyach, in a way where you, but if you're able to be mefaresh as a yipui koyach, like over by the carob tree, that the reason why he said chutz from this carob tree, you can explain because he also wanted to include the path for that carob tree. So then you explain it that way. But if it's impossible to explain it any other way, so we interpret it that he spoke divrei shtus miyutarim. That's how the Rashbam describes it. Zok the Gemara Al-Chanami, also over here, but the Geit Charuf, which is an adult carob tree, which was grafted, or the sycamore tree, which was pruned. So the chashava trees, they're automatically not koina, even without him saying those words. Loi kana, he's not going to be koina the other carob trees, for sure not. Just like by other fields, when he said that I'm selling you my field, but not the field next to my field, doesn't mean the other 9 fields that he owns, he is selling it to him. It's not sold to him. And so too here with the carob tree, even though he said not this carob tree, it doesn't mean the other carob trees he's selling to. So the Gemara,
Why would you think that he did?
because he said dafka this one is not. So he's saying
Maybe because this carob tree is near his field or in his field. He says not this one. He has other carob trees that are going to invent.
we gave you an example that it's close, but he could have said anything. It's still.
Okay.
We could the others say like this. The Shaila of Ahmad Rav Huna ben Rav Sheshes, the Shaila of Rav Huna from Rav Sheshes was like this. He says, the Meicha says, Sadai mechorelach, let's use the same words as before, I'm selling you my field, chutz mechatzi chorov pleni, except a half of that carob tree. Okay? With chutz mechas, meaning the carob tree that is already an adult tree, which is a cheshva tree, or chutz mechatzi sadam pleni, or except for that sycamore tree that was pruned, which is an adult tree, which is a dava chashuv. Now, what's the din? Do we say Shah Charuvim Vadai like Kane? We know for sure the rest of the Charuvim, the other carob trees for sure he wasn't Kaina. Hamash Shiba is a Charuv, because this that he left in that Charuv, the Chatzi, the second half, maybe Kane. He was Kaina it. So that's it.
Who was Kaina that?
He says, I'm selling you my field, except of half of that carob tree. Half. Except of half of the carob.
So he sold the half?
He sold, so maybe he sold the other half. He says, of this carob, for sure all the other carob trees are not included in the sale, like we said before. But if he said, I'm selling you my field, except for half of this carob tree, maybe the second.
Why would he say such a thing?
Oh, so that's a big shiloh. Maybe the other half, he was kinda. He was part inclusive in the sale. Says the Gemara, or perhaps we're going to say even the part that was left over, he was not koina.
Who wasn't
The meicha was not koina, even though he said only half the carob tree I'm keeping for myself.
Why would you think that?
Why
would you think that he sold really the whole tree?
He says what?
How could you have a half a tree? Right?
So he says, why did he say these extra words? So we're going to say he said these extra words of the half a tree that he's keeping, even though he doesn't have to say nothing and he's not koina any of the carob tree. So why did he say half? So we'll say like before, because he's said that to include the path going to the carob tree. That's why he used extra words. That's all.
But he meant what?
He meant liyaplis koiche.
He meant to sell the whole tree.
He meant to sell nothing of the tree.
That's why he said.
And he said, I'm leaving half of the tree for myself. Why did he have to even say, I'm leaving half of the tree
But
for
he said,
myself?
I'm selling you half.
No, he said, I'm selling you my field.
And,
Right? And then he says, and I'm leaving half of this carob tree for myself.
Oh, he didn't say that.
He didn't sell him, no. So we want to imply, because he said, I'm leaving half of the carob tree for myself, the other half of the carob tree belongs to the seller, because he said he's only keeping half of the carob tree. So we say, no, we're going to say like we said before, that half of the carob tree that he said he's keeping for himself, he meant to be meyapis koyach, that he meant to include a pathway going to the carob tree, to that carob tree. Not to sell anything, but to include a path going to that carob tree. So the Gemara says, the Gemara, Rav Sheshes says, Leikoni, he's not koina. That's the halacha. The Leikech is not koina any of the carob tree, any part of it. Ace, in fact, the Gemara, Rav Sheshes is from the following brayso. If he said Sadim Mechurulach, he says, my field is sold to you, and now you have a Mishnah, a brayso that says with Fedish, Chutz mechatzi charav pleni, except for half of that carob tree that was grafted, which is a cheshva tree, which even if he didn't say it, wouldn't be included. Or chutz mechatzi sadam pleni, or except for that sycamore tree that was pruned, which is a cheshva tree, which normally even if he wouldn't have said it, it wouldn't have been kaina. Shar charuvim like honey. For sure, the other carob trees he wasn't kaina.
So
my love, shar charuvim. So he used the word shar charuvim is not kaina. So my love, what did the Mishnah say? Mean to say that shar charuvim is not kaina? Only shar charuvim. The other trees is not going to be kaina. Who the leikana? Or b'homash shia? But this that in that tree itself, he says he's only keeping half for himself. But of this half of the tree that he left out, he said only half of this carob tree is keeping for himself. So maybe the other half that he didn't say kana, maybe the lekech was kana. No, even what he left him over when he said I'm only keeping half of this carob tree, the second half he didn't leave it for the lekech to be kana. Gam loikana, nami loikana. He says even the other half of the carob tree, the lekech was not koina.
What's the reasoning? Because it was a path.
Huh?
Why did he say?
Oh, why did he say take that ayah? He says, "I'll bring an ayah." What's if he would have said, "My field is sold to you, b'lashon yachid," and then he says, "Chutz mechatzi sada ploini." He says, except for half of the other field. Does it mean ahu the leikana ha'idach, but the second half kana the lekeich is kind? Of course not. He sold him one field. He says sadai b'lashon yachid, and he says, and the sada next to it, I'm leaving half for myself. Doesn't mean the other half he was kind. For sure, he's not kind.
Maybe he's leaving the other half for his friend. You know.
Okay, but we say if just like over there, the other half of the field, the guy is not going to be kaina. So we're going to say for sure. He told him sada echad. He told him only sadai. Lashon is one field he's selling, and not more. And that's how the Rashbam explains it. So there's no suffix over there by the field that he only sold the field that he told him that the one field that he said he's selling it. And you can't be medayik by saying the Soda Smucha, he's keeping half for himself, he's selling him another half of field. He never said that. So it's just like who leikana ha'idach, I'm sorry, elapash leikani. So for sure he didn't sell him the extra half of the field, right? It's pasha that he wasn't, the leikech wasn't kind of the leikani, was not kind of the second half of the other field. So too, by the carob tree, he says, I'm selling you my field, and I'm leaving half the carob tree for myself. He wasn't makna to him, to the leikech, the second half, for sure not. He sold him only one field, and a carob tree is considered as a second field. And when he says half, it doesn't mean the other half of the field is kind of just like by the regular fields. When he said, I'm selling you this field, and the other field that's next to it, half I'm keeping for myself, it doesn't mean that the other half, he's giving it to the leikeach. So just like over there, by the regular fields, it doesn't mean the other half is giving it to leikeach. So too by the carob tree, the half a carob tree, he's not being mocked the second half of carob tree to him because that carob tree has a din like a field. Okay, sagt die Gemara, wait a minute,
How are you going to construct this contract here? You know,
okay, we said these words,
if I use an extra
by sometimes the words, like he said, were shtusim, divri shtus miyutarim, or sometimes he said the extra words, by the carob tree, he wanted to include the yipukayach that he should be able to have a path.
I'm selling you this and nothing else.
He didn't have to say anything, it's extra words, but the extra words do nothing for him. Somebody who gives up pikadon, he gave a pikadon, and the guy took a star in exchange, right? And in the previous Pedic we learned by a mafkid, somebody who gives a pikadon, even if he gave it be'edim, the shoima doesn't have to return it be'edim. So what happened? And he's believed to say he returned that he returned the pikadon. So what happened? The Amalai and the Nifka, the Shemet said, when he asked for his pikadon, he says, I returned it to you. Mao, what's the din? What? Okay? So the Shaila is, he has a migo. He has a migo. He should be believed because he has a migo that Nensu. He could have said he was Ainas. So believe him when he said, which is a better taina than saying Exarti. Nensu, he would be, he's Potter, right? So the Gemara says, let's see. So do we say that since he has a migo that he could have said Nansu, which is a better taina than the taina he's saying now, because we say that a shoym is potter.
What kind of shomer are we talking about?
A shoym chinam or even a shoym sach, that potter, say shoym chinam, say shoym sach, up to them for alainas. So a shoym that taina that there was he was an ainas, the taina was mechayim to swear. But it says, like it says, Shus Hashem Tivanayim, right? So he says, he has a migu that he could have said nan. So Mehemen, he's believed with this taina. Hashtanami, so to now, when he says Exativ Loch, Mehemen, he's believed. Because this is a stronger taina, by saying Nansu, over the taina of Exartiv. Okay? Should we say? Should we perhaps say that Amalei Shtarcha b'yadcha, my boy, or he's telling him, What is your star doing in my hand? So by him saying, what? So it's amigo b'makamedim. So when he says shtarch b'yadcha my bayi, and he claims that he returned the pikadin, right? And the mafkid has a star, so that's like amigo b'makamedim. Here he says, I'll just read from the Rashbam over here. First of all, read the first one. If the nifkid wanted to lie, let's go back to the migu. He could have said the pikadon was einus, and this would have been a better time because minatera they believed the nifkat, the one the shema with a shvua that he, like we said before, Hashem believed with a shvua to say nansu, and from this that he didn't taina that is that he doesn't want to swear because he said a shvachar. He says I returned it to you.
Oh, so
And that's a short shvachar. He has a star. So, but we have to believe him that he returned the pikadon. It's a much shvachar by saying he returned it if the guy has a star. So the Gemara continues to say, since with this taina he could have said taina soines, right? And he would have been believed.
in both cases he has to swear?
In both cases, soon the Gemara is going to explain. Yes. So he says, even though the nifkat has a migul, so the Gemara answered, even though the nifkat has a migul, but this is like a migul b'makmedim, because you have a star. A star is considered, and there are edim in the star. So it's like a migul against the edim in the star that says that the mafkid gave the shema a pikadon to hold. That's what he says. In the star, here. There is a ketanis migul b'makmedim sheyesh kenegda edis edim, which is the star. That's the Rashba.
Why is there a shaila here?
Vav kan onu ke'edim b'davar. Anan sade, he uses the word anan sade. Shavade lo yihirsa nifkid es apikadon shchazak shlo yoyim anich es ashtabi yad amafkid. It's chazak. He would have never left.
Is mamish like a lie? He's lying in the front.
That's called a migul b'makmedim, but we're going to soon say it's not exactly
So
that.
why is a shaila? Maybe he has a big.
Amalei, the Gemara answered, no, he is believed. Amalei, Muhammad, he is believed with the migul. Why? So he's going to explain. Like that's your question. How could you say he's going to be believed? Let the mafkid say to the nifkid, why do I still have the star? If you return the pikadon, you should have demanded the star.
Why do you say it's
Amalei, but the time Amalei Nansu mi matze Amalei shtar b'yadim my bayi. So he says, if he would have said Nansu, the star, you wouldn't be able to say, why do I still have the star? It was heinous. So we say, so the Rashbam brings down that even the shtar b'yadim my bayi, when he says Echzat, is not so 100% against the Echzartiv. It's not 100% Echzartiv, because a lot of times a person wants to return the pikadon, and the mafkid says, I don't have the star with me right now. I'll give it to you later. Usually the nifkid gives it back. And then the Rashbam adds, the nifkid feels secure, because he feels, even if he doesn't give him the star now, I'll return without the star. I didn't demand the star because I had a migul that I could have said nansu. That's what the Rashbam says. I'll read it from here. It's not similar to migul b'makmedim. Why? Because this that he's tainus, it's possible at the time when he was returning the pikadon, the mafkid says to the nifkid, I lost the star. Okay? Take a receipt. He wasn't so concerned. And why wasn't he so concerned? He says, because he was also samech that he has a migu that he could have said namsu. Meaning, if the mafkid comes a second time and he's going to be tevei with the star, so then then he'll say, oh, I was oinus. I'll get out of it. Okay. Zog the Gemara, so therefore they paskin he's believed. And the shtar b'yadim by boy is not exactly a migul b'makmedim, because a person does return a pikadon without demanding the star. Because sometimes the mafkid will say he lost the star, and the nifkid won't be worried about it. Why won't he be worried about it? Because if he'll come back with the star, he always says he has the migo. He could have said that. He said he lost the star. He just wanted. It's a friend. He gave him back to the God, and he didn't. He didn't believe that.
you have it.
He believed we're friends. Here's back. You lost your star. Here's back to the God. Because that was the minute, right? With a star.
No, we became friends after the
That also became friends on the Lord. Amalei Rav Amnon only Rav Chisda. Rav Amnon said back to Rav Chisda. Say ki Amalei Nansu Lav Shvua Boi says Gemara. Even when the Nifkit says he was Eines Lav Shvua Boi, didn't he need a Shvua? So what kind of a? You're saying that's a better taina than saying Echzativ? Because Echzat is a shvacha taina because the guy has a star against it. But by saying Nensu, it's a stronger taina, he gets away with it. L'cheira, Nensu, you would have to swear. Says Gemara, Hachinami, my Neman, what does it mean that he's believed when he says Echzativ? Doesn't mean without a shvua. You wanted to say that, look, Echzativ is a better taina because he doesn't have to swear, versus Nensu, he has to swear. Says the Gemara, Hachinami over here, when he says Echzativ, Mainish that he's not going to have to swear. My Naman, Nam Bishvua means after with a shvua. He's going to have to swear that
That's the
exactly.
whole problem. If the guy's going to swear, a person doesn't swear as I exist.
Yeah, but it's easier with Nansu. He could have.
But you have to come onto a migo. You could have said Nansu. I'm going to swear. I'm swearing to it.
He could have said Nansu,
and he swears, right?
Yeah, he has to put his hand in Sefer, of course. Yeah. Okay, so he says, fighter. So he says was it? We're up to over here. Okay, later be plucked in the Hani Tanoi says, Gemara, should we say this Hayrav of Chizda is telling the machlekes of Tanoim? If a person is able to say Herzativ with a migo of Nansu, it's a machlekes of Tanoim. Where do we see that?
Even though we need to both of them.
Even no, now we're saying that we said Mehamen. Rav Chisda, Amalei Rav Amnon said Mehamen is believed. So, but Erzat, yeah, but Erzat with Amigo Nansu.
Even though both of them are
Yeah, but Nansu is a starker taina still because Erzat is against. It's easier taina because it's going against a star. Yeah. So
what if the mafia says, you want to swear, so therefore I trust you that you don't have to swear because not everybody wants to swear. I see that you're ready to swear, so then I believe you for that reason.
We're saying you don't want to believe him when he says Echzatilach with a shvua, right? So Echzatilach because with a shvua, you're going to say he's not believed, but you're saying believe him because if he was a liar, he could have said a better time with a shvua.
Okay, but I'm saying, but if there's a shvua, you happen to have a shvua with whatever he kindness, there's a shvua. So person, you have to believe him. Why does he want to swear? He wants to swear a full swear.
He doesn't have to actually make a swear. You have to be ready and available to make a swear.
Not always will they make a swear. You're right. Not always will they. I saw that before. Not always will he come to a shvua. But if he demands a shvua, he'll have to make a shvua. That's what it says.
They'll tell him make sure.
But then even in Bezdin, if he doesn't demand a shvua, he doesn't have to make a shvua.
They demand for him.
Right. But if but it says if he's not demanding.
You mean if the mafia is not?
If the mafia is not demanding, right?
Then what's Bezdin for? Money?
It doesn't say he came to Bezdin. I'm saying it says.
Oh, you know,
in between the Zati Potem Shvua, you don't show Nika Edif Panazaraka daily, not some Shvua. I'm not sure that. I only Shvua, Hamrikan, and Kidis Chesha, has the best I've got. It doesn't say here. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, Zakti, but later looked at the Tanoi. Let us say the argument is the same achliks of the Tanoi. Of Tanoim, whether Herzativ is believed with Amigo of Nansu or not. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Star Kis, Star Iska. So the way it works, we learned in Nezeo Neshach, if you remember, if somebody wants to make a business, I lent in Matzia, Nezeo Neshach. Okay, it says that if somebody wants to invest, right? I lend you. Reuben is lending money. He's lending $100 to Shimon. So the way that he can pay the interest, you do it like a iska. What do? Half you tell him is alva, and that halva you have to pay me back regardless. I'm giving you a halva, and half I'm giving you as a pikadon. Okay? So the money that I gave you for halva, that's your business. My business is from the pikadon part. And he makes a business with the pikadon part, that's his half. And he makes a business and they split it half and half. So, and it's not ibis.
The half of the Picard.
The half of the pikadon. If it's the, how could he make money from the milva, from the halva? He doesn't make.
That's his investment.
The
His
milva,
investment.
whose investment?
Louvers.
The Levi's investment. The
Yeah,
Levi's
they're
investment.
partners.
He's going to make business out of the money that he borrowed,
It's the same amount.
but he's not paying him interest on the on from the money that was given as halva. He's making interest on the second half that he gave as a pikadon. So anyway, the Gemara said over there, l'chayra, he's still getting interest because he's working for him for free. You remember that part? So he said that he's going to get a bigger cut in the sales. It'll be 60-40. Anyway, but Kitzur, this is the case. So half is halva and half is a pikadon. That's the case. So the halva part he has to pay back, right? And also the pikadon. Let's see what happens. Shtakis, there was a shtakis that the Reuben gave money to Shimon, and he gave him $100. $50 was halva, $50 was a pikadon. Hayitz al Yisayim. And now the Reuben comes to Shimon's Yisayim because Reuben's the one that lent the money, and Shimon died, and now he wants to collect all his money. The Hayoni Hagila said that Heveya is Nishba. He swears that he didn't receive any of the money, but gave a kulei, and he collects the whole money, side the chelik of the milva, and side the chelik of the pikadon.
You can't time it for that.
Oh, 1 second, you're jumping. The Dayoni Eretz Yisrael Amri Nishba v'Geiva Mechza. The Dayoni Eretz Yisrael say no, he can only get the halva part, but not the pikadon part. I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. Only the halva part, not the pikadon. Why the halva part? Very simple, because the halva part is not shaykh to say that it was a oinus. You understand? Even you can't say nensu on halva.
No defense.
Milva is lohitzonitnu. It's made to be used, and it could get lost. There's no defense for that. You got to pay back the halva regardless. The only time when the shaykh nensu is a pikadon where you were supposed to hold it, and then there was a oinus. Okay. So if he tines exartiv loch with a migu, that we're tining for the Yisayim, just like your father could have said exartiv loch, right? With a migu of nensa, and he would have been believed. So we give that same tiner to the Yisayim, and therefore they don't have to pay back the pikadon part of the monies, only the halva part. So the Gemara, the kuli alma ismol nadai.
Interest free.
No,
What do you mean? The milva is interest free, of course. The milva he has to pay back exactly what the milva was. His profit was from the pikadon part.
Oh, so if he doesn't go into the
He can't get the pikadon, he can't get the interest on that, right? With the kuliyama islul, because he says he returned it, and we give the fathers we tine in on for the yisayim. The kuliyama islul. Everybody holds like the bnei nada. High iska, when you're dealing with a iska, palga milva, palga pikadon. Half is a milva, half is a pikadon, right? Like that's the only way the iska could be. Like the Ashbam brings that the tiknu chachamim. What I told you the whole story. The chacham were mesakin in order for somebody to be able to make business that should be good for both of them. That half should be a milva, like we said before, and half should be a pikadon. And the one that was mashkiya the money, he makes his profits off of the pikadon part, and the one that's doing the business, he's making his interest off the milva part.
Why can't you say the whole thing is a pikadon?
No,
You need $100.
that's for sure.
I'm giving you $100.
But then he doesn't have. Then he's not responsible for anything. We're talking about a milva. He's always responsible, no matter what happens with the money. You want to make it good for the one that's being mashkiya the money that he's carrying for the milva.
Right.
He wants to be able to get back his money.
He's only getting back from the malva.
At least that. But if you make the whole thing up pikadon, he wouldn't get anything back.
There's one catch. The head of iska is that if you claim the loss, you have to make a shvur.
Okay.
He doesn't want. No, it's not.
You're right. Good. So Gemara my lab.
It's not 50-50. It's not.
We're 60-40 in the profits because he's making money. Then it would be like interest that he didn't pay him for the work. Okay, because he's working for his side as well. Sagt die Gemara, my lab, is it or not? This is what they're arguing about. The Dayanim of Goyla, of the Dayanim of Nadoi, Sava, they hold that even if the father was alive, the father wouldn't be believed to say Zatullah with amigo of Nansu. Therefore, Matzi, Amalei, the Baal Hamamin, the one that was Mashkir, the Mamin, the Malva, could say, why do I still have the star? And now he doesn't.
So you wouldn't be able to use it.
Just like the father, he says the father wouldn't have had that amigo either. So we don't give it to the Yisayimim, and they have to pay the whole thing. Umar, but the Dayanim of Eretz Yisrael, so but they hold Loi Matzi Amalei Shtarch B'Yadei my boy. That but the Dayanim of Eretz Yisrael say no. Loi Matzi Amalei Shtarch B'Yadei my boy. He cannot use that as a taina. His migo is a good migo. Why? Because this that he has a taina of Shtarch B'Yadei my boy. It doesn't make it a migo b'makamedim, like we explained before. Because a lot of times the person, the mafkid will come and say he lost the star. The nifkid will anyway give him the pikadin. The nifkid will give it back, and he's relying because he has a migu. So that's why he has that taina, and we give it to the Yisraelim that same taina, and that's why the pikadin part doesn't have to be paid back, and that's why they only have to pay back the milva. So no, the Kuli Alma Yisluti Rav Chizda. Everybody holds over Rav Chizda that the nifkid is believed to say Herzati with a migu of Nensu. But over here they're arguing by Yisayim, it's different. The Marsova, the Dayanim of Gela hold, im is the pare. If it's true that their father had paid up the chayiv, for sure the father would have said to the children before he died, listen, I paid up the chayiv, I'm letting you know. You don't have any chayivas. So the Umar Sova, but the Dayanim of Eretz Yisrael said, just because, so 1 minute, so it's Tatel Reyusa. The Rashbam says we have a double whammy here. Number one, he has Shtar Chabiyadi by Ba'i, right? Why does he still have the star? The Malva. For the Pekadin part, why does he still have the star? Number two, if he would have paid off the Chayv, he would have said it. So here it's more than a regular case, because the father should have told the children. So what are the Yoni of Eretz Yisrael saying? That we do give the time of the father, we allow the migo to be said. He wanted to say it. The father wanted to tell him that the chayvus were paid up, but before he got a chance, the Malchamavas took him apart. Like I told you with the story with the Klovin. You remember the story? That there was a story that there was a certain soul lived in the city and said, don't go through these streets, it's very dangerous. You go through these streets, there's a guy that trained his dogs to bite the Jews. So he says, don't worry, the guest says, I'll take care of myself. I know how to say the pasuk. Everything will be taken care of. He goes through the street and he comes back. He comes back. They asked him, what happened? He says, the pasuk. So he says the same thing over here. That Malchabavas came, it didn't allow him to say that the chayvus were paid back.
Huh?
He only because of the shtar, that's why he has. True. Plus, he has the reyesa that he should have told the kids. But here, the Dayanim of Eretz Yisrael that he say that he didn't get a chance. He wanted to tell the kids, but the Malchabavas came in.
We do believe him with a migui.
Yeah.
You know,
According to the Dayanim of Eretz Yisrael. Somebody who gives a pikadin to his friend and he does it with a star, and he says the nifkid tells the mafkid, I returned back the pikadin. Naman he's believed. But by shtar kis, we don't give the Yisraelim the taina that their father could have taina. You have two parts in the Mishnah, which is Seisem Neobey. The beginning you say you have the migu, and in the Sefer we don't give the Yisayim that same migu that the father could have had. If you want to shine your husband, there it's different. The is the pare, because if the father would have paid back, he would have told his children that it was paid back, like we said before. So it's Tatel. So that's why the Bryce and Paskin over there that he has to return everything. I mean, if the mafkid gives a shvua that he wasn't paid up, he collects everything. Rava says the halacha is that we give the Yisayim the taina, and he only collects half. Mazuta said the halacha is like the Yonam of Gela, that he has to pay up everything. The Yisayim have to pay up everything. We don't give the Yisayim the
Why would
taina.
somebody lend somebody money,
He's making a business.
Yeah, but you say he only has to pay back half. Why should it be in such a situation?
Yeah. He lent him money because he's making him cash advance.
The guy's an old man.
He's making him money. Who says he's an old man? I'm a late Rava said that he swears. Let me just first finish. He swears and he collects half. So we just said, Rava said he swears. What do you want to say? Mazuta is arguing. Amalei Mazuta said to Rabina Anon. The Dayona Gela, when we learned the Hira, Dayona Gela, Ibcha Masnin Allah. We learned the opposite, that the Dayona Gela are the ones that said that Teveya swears and he only collects half, which means that we give we transfer the taina that the father would have had to the children, and therefore the part which is pekudin, they don't get, the mafkid doesn't get to collect. Okay, so it's really the same thing.